what that degree and that education shows, it shows clients that you're educated. It shows them that you have training of some sort and some professional background. Add to your portfolio section. This is where you can add a bunch of different files. Okay, you can add image files, video files, audio files. And what you're trying to do here is show clients what you're capable of. This does not have to be work that you've done on Upwork. It can be work that you've done in your past jobs. It can also be work out of your personal portfolio. I will actually get a lot of freelancers who say, well, I'm brand new to designing logos. Or, the logos that I've done belong to the clients. I can't use them here. Well, hopefully you have some items in your own personal portfolio that you use to craft your skills and hone your skills. You can add those things here too. All you're trying to do is show potential clients, this is the type of quality that you'll get, this is the type of work that I produce. Add an introductory video. This shouldn't be more than 30 seconds to a minute and a half. This is one of those items I talked about earlier where we've looked at the most successful freelancers and we see that many of them have this video. This is actually a pretty easy thing to do. And what it does is it shows potential clients who you are. Again, it tells them that, hey, this is a real person. I'm talking to someone who has a personality here, who's excited about this work, and is giving me a little bit more information about themselves. And then take some free skill tests. These are great ways to validate the skills that you're claiming you have. Again, you're giving a client confidence. This person not only says they can do Adobe Photoshop, they've actually taken the test and proven that they can. And you don't need to show the test on your profile if you don't perform well. You see that yes, no button there. So it's a great way to kind of validate some of that information. This is an example of a pretty complete profile. This is a freelancer that I've worked with quite a bit. You see right from the top, John's title tells you exactly what he does. Okay, and in my case, that's what I was looking for. And then I can read into his overview and learn a little bit more about it. And he's telling me more details around this area of expertise. Okay, let's talk about submitting proposals and how that process works. And before you go out and find jobs and just start submitting proposals off the bat, it's important to take a step back and say, okay, I'm a mobile app developer. I'm going to go in and type in Android mobile development jobs. And I get a list of 10, 15, 20, maybe even 30 or 40 jobs that show up in search results. I'm not going to go and submit a proposal for every one of these, okay? And that's the mistake we see a lot of freelancers take, is they'll do a couple searches and then bam, they see a bunch of jobs show up and they just start submitting proposals to all of them. We encourage you to really take a step back and think about, is this the right fit for me? Is this the right job? Do I have a good feeling for this because of the skills that it's requiring? Am I the right person for this? And that's all we're asking for, and that's what this slide is about. So maybe it's a checklist, maybe it's just a reminder that you give yourself, but you want to do things like see if this job matches your skills and interests. Has the client prepared enough of a job description to let you know what they're looking for, what their needs are? Is it going to meet your needs financially? Is this client posting a project that they're looking to hire someone for $25 an hour, but you normally charge $50 for this type of work? Well, does it look like you can negotiate it? Is it, hey, they've made it very clear they're not going above this? In which case, I'm going to pass and move on to the next job post. Do you have the time available to complete this job? And does it meet Upwork's terms of service? Now that last one, the one case that I'll point out to you that you might see is you might see clients who say, I'm looking to hire someone to do this, but before I decide if I hire you or not, I want you to do a quick draft. Or I want you to record 30 seconds of this transcript before I decide if you're the right person. That's not the way things work now. Okay, you have a portfolio. You can show them examples of your past work. You can ask them to pay you for that 30-second clip, but you should not be doing free work. Okay, you should only be getting paid for your time, and that's what we're going to talk about after we go through this proposal section. So you find some jobs. 5 or 10 of the ones that you look through in search results seem like they're a good fit. for the reasons we just stated. It's time to submit a proposal. So you click to say submit a proposal, and we're going to walk you through it. It's a very straightforward form that says describe what you're going to do here and estimate your cost. On that description, on that proposal, really the guidance there is to think custom, not cookie cutter. What I mean by that is every single proposal should be targeted towards that job and that client. Now, this shouldn't be taking you hours and hours to do, because you can still set up a framework for each proposal. And you can say every time I'm submitting proposals for a mobile development job, I'm always going to start with an introduction to who I am, and that's pretty much going to be the same. I'm always going to state my understanding of the project and the client's objectives. Now, that's going to be different. Okay? I'm going to say how I plan to do this job. And then I'm always going to talk about my experience managing some of the projects, and I'm going to attach some examples from my portfolio that match what this client's looking for, what they're doing. And then it's a matter of filling in those each time for your proposal. The proposals that stand out to clients are the ones that don't have any errors and that are targeted to them and their job. Because it shows clients, hey, this person wants to win my business. This person wants to work with me. This person has thought about what I'm trying to accomplish here, and they're trying to get ahead of that and actually do some of that work. So you want to demonstrate that you've read their job post, show your interest, ask some good questions of them. Highlight the value and the benefits that you offer. What about you makes you different? Okay? I'm competing against 10, 15, 20 other freelancers. Why am I better than them? Well, maybe it's my education. Maybe it's my past work. Maybe it's just that, hey, client, I'm going to be the hardest working freelancer that you have for this type of role. I could prove it because I've been a hard worker. Here's some examples of that. I'm going to knock your job out of the park. Those are the kinds of things you want to do to really differentiate, stand yourself out from the crowd. Provide some relevant samples so you can attach files to your proposal. And look to attach those portfolio examples or maybe other work that you've done that isn't in your portfolio. Give it to your clients in your proposal because you want to show them, oh, you're looking for a blog writer to write about health and wellness blogs. I didn't have this in my portfolio, but hey, here's an example of a blog that I just wrote 2 months ago, right up the lines of what you're looking for. And this saves the client the time from having to go to your portfolio, find that one item that's relevant to their job. It saves them the time of asking you for that information. You've already provided it for them. Make it concise, proofread it, and make it professional but personal. This is an example of a pretty well-written proposal. Again, it's professional but personable. You still want to show your personality, show who you are. And again, make it targeted. Show them that you've read their job post, that you've thought about it. If they happen to mention what type of company they are, or even their company name, go and do some research and say, hey, client, it looks like you actually launched your website a year ago. From what I can tell, hasn't really changed. And hey, here's some of the new trends for the type of website that you have. See some of these examples here. Show them that, hey, I've done a little bit of homework. I'm learning about you. I want to answer your question. I want to make you client better. Highlight unique qualifications, providing some relevant samples, and request an interview. That's really the next step here. Ask them to set up some time. Give them your availability to have a quick phone video interview. And you can do that through our message area. That's the best place to do that. They can call you, activate a voice call, video voice call, and you can chat through and get that interview done. That's a great way. Once you get done that, you've got your foot in the door, right? Part of submitting your proposal means submitting a price. And let me just do one quick check here. Yeah, so part of submitting your proposal means submitting a price. And I'm not here to rate guidance. I'm not going to tell you, hey, if you're in the writing category for these types of jobs, you should be charging this amount. This is really going to be something that you settle on over time. It's going to be something that you adjust. So it's never a fixed, fine rate that you're never changing. The way to think about a job post is really think about, okay, let me take a look at what other people are charging for this type of work. And you can do that today. You can go to Upwork go to Find Freelancers as if you were a client. So you might need to log out and visit, just go to Upwork.com and say, I want to find freelancers. And look for logo designers if that's your area of expertise, or data entry experts. And you'll see what comes in search results are look for those top-rated freelancers. That means they have some experience or had some success on Upwork. And check out their hourly rate. Everyone has an hourly rate on their profile. And you can look at their work history and see what type of projects they've done and how much they've been paid for those jobs. That doesn't mean because Maria had a $23 an hour rate that she's always charging $23 an hour. But at least that can give you a sense on, hey, my experience is actually more than Maria's. I have better education, more work history behind this. I'm going to experiment with $24 an hour or $26 for this job post that looks really interesting. So kind of use that as your gauge. Do some general research online. You can find a lot of good information on Google. And then consider the client's point of view. Did they select to hire an expert or an intermediate or a beginner? And then factor in any additional costs to you. Is this a rush job? Do I need to purchase or update some software on my computer? Am I going to need to purchase some research materials? Factor that into your costs as well. Let's talk about getting paid. This is super critical because what I want to give you all the confidence of is that if you're on Upwork doing good work, if you're doing what your client asked for in their job description and in your follow-up communications, you're going to get paid. Okay? So the way to think about this is we have two types of jobs: fixed price jobs and hourly jobs. Fixed price means there's a defined deliverable. The client wants some videos produced. The client wants a logo done. They want 4 blog articles written. They want a new database system set up. Whatever it is, there's a defined deliverable that they want at the end of whatever time. And there's a final cost associated. On hourly jobs, those work really well when there's flexibility involved. I want to hire a writer, someone who can do some white papers, some email copy, maybe write a blog post here and there. I might be giving them any of those at any point in time, but I know I want someone who's available about 15 hours a week. So there's flexibility involved in the type of task you'll be completing, but the client wants time. On fixed price jobs, we call it fixed price protection. And the way this works is, let's say the client says, I want a logo design, and I'm willing to pay, their budget is $2,000. And they get a bunch of proposals, they interview some freelancers, and they end up negotiating with Ray. Ray says, I can do this job for $1,800. So the first step is you're having that conversation with the client, ideally through our messages area. Messages going back and forth, emails get captured in there as well. When you reply to a message, it gets sent to email. And in that message, Ray says, I recommend 4 milestones. So this is something that you, the freelancer, or the client can do. So you can recommend milestones. Milestones are dates when you expect to deliver a part of the work and you expect to get paid for it. And on almost all fixed price jobs, we recommend multiple milestones because you want those checkpoints. I want to make sure as a freelancer that me and my client are on the same page, they're getting something, and that I'm getting paid. I don't want to wait 2 weeks from now hoping that they like my logo and that I'm going to get paid $1,800. No, I want to get paid 100 here, 200 here, 400 here, and the remaining 1,100 at the end. So in this case, Ray says, let's do 4 milestones. The first milestone, I'm going to get you, within a day, a really rough sketch. I'm going to do it on pencil and paper, and I'm going to upload it as a PDF. And that's for $100, just so we can make sure you can see my style and I'm getting what you're looking for. The second milestone is 2 days after that, a first version of the logo in a JPEG format. The next milestone for another $400 is for a second version of the logo after we've done 3 edits. And then the final milestone is for the final image files, and that's for the remaining $1,000. So that's the next step, is to propose those milestones. Like I said, either party can do that. Now, this is a really critical point. When the client awards Ray the job, so we agree on those milestones. We say, okay, client, I'm ready. Just put those in the contract. Let's go. The client will click on Upwork to say, I want to award this job to Ray. And they're going to be asked to document those milestones. They're going to be asked to actually put those milestones in the contract. Say milestone 1 for $100, rough sketch of the logo. Milestone 2 for $300, whatever, and so on and so forth. Once they put in those milestones and they go to award the job, Upwork is going to ask them, we're going to ask the client, do you want to fund escrow for the whole project or just a partial amount? And this is where your payment protection comes in. You do not start any work until escrow has been funded for at least that first milestone. What that means is the client has taken money from their PayPal account, from their bank account, from their credit card, and they deposited an Upwork escrow account for that milestone. So Ray sees, all right, that first milestone, that rough sketch, it now has $100 in escrow, and that's held by Upwork. I can start working. Ray finishes that file, he uploads it, and marks that milestone as complete. So he uploads it to the message area, and Mark goes to the contract and says, this work is done, please release that money. You do not continue working until that escrow payment has been released, and the next one is funded with escrow. So that's how that process works. You wait until escrow is funded before you start working. You don't continue working until payment has been released, and the next one is funded with escrow. Okay? For hourly projects, we call it hourly protection. So the way this works is, let's say the client's hiring for someone, a writer, and they want someone who's available up to 30 hours a week at $15 to $20 an hour. And they negotiate with some freelancers, end up hiring Shannon. Shannon says, I can be available up to 30 hours a week, but my rate is $23 an hour. So the first step is to agree to those terms with the client, okay? And we agree, the client says, okay, I agree to get charged up to 30 hours a week automatically for $23 an hour. Now that doesn't mean the first week or the second week or even the 16th week that Shannon has to charge 30 hours. But it's saying she's available up to 30 hours and she might charge up to 30 hours automatically. If it's 35 hours, if it's 40 hours, then Shannon, the freelancer, needs to contact her client ahead of time and say, hey, I'm getting close to my limit this week. Just want to make sure you're okay if I charge and add some extra time. It's called manual time at the end of the week. So make sure you get that approved. So first step is to agree to those final terms, the number of authorized hours and the rate. Then the client will go and again in the contract and click to award Shannon the job. In order to get payment protection, to basically get guaranteed that you're going to get paid for your time, you need to download the Upwork desktop app to track your time. And you can go and do that today. Go to your profile, click on the name up there at the top right, click on settings, and from that page, I believe you'll see the desktop app available on the left-hand side there. Download it today, that way you have it. And whenever you start a new hourly contract, it'll show up in that desktop app. The desktop app is basically a time card. So on Monday morning, Shannon's going to do some research for some of the work that she's going to write. She starts the desktop app, and for the 2 hours that she's working that day, it captures screenshots of her computer and lets her take notes on what she's working on. The only way you qualify for payment protection is if you use the desktop app to track your time. Then she takes breaks, she stops the app, comes back to work some more, starts the app again, and does that throughout the week. End of the week, on Monday morning, that time card, we call it the work diary, gets charged automatically to the client. Okay? So you don't have to go ask your client to pay you. There's no invoice that you need to get sent. They get charged automatically. Okay? Now, the rest of the week, though, the client has up to 5 days to review that time and reject it. So they could go in and look at that work diary and say, you know what, some of this time wasn't spent on this project, or Shannon forgot to track her time. I'm going to dispute that time so I don't need to pay for it. Hang on 1 second, folks. Excuse me 1 second. I'm booked in this room. Sorry, I'm in the middle of the webinar. I'm booked in this room until noon. Yeah, same until noon. Okay. So again, make sure that you're using the desktop app to track your time, because that's the only guarantee to get paid automatically. And the key point with that is, at the end of the week, you're going to see that that payment has been charged and that that payment method is still there. And you can continue working, continue tracking that time there. Okay? So, make sure. Okay, this is what those milestones look like. So you can see here we have 3 different milestones. And the key, again, is to make sure that that milestone is funded with escrow before you start working on it. And then make sure that escrow is released before you continue working on the next one. This is where that milestone gets released and that deliverable gets approved. So as long as that happens, you can continue working on the next one if it's funded with escrow. Just know that it might take up to 5 business days before the money is then available for you to withdraw it. Okay? There's 2 different points here, when the payment's released and when the payment can be withdrawn. Because you can't withdraw payments until it runs through our security period there. This is what that hourly project looks like. So you can see that work diary screenshots get captured during the hours that you're working. And the key point here is you're tracking time here Monday through Sunday. Monday, the client's payment method gets charged, and then you're tracking time for the next week, but they have up until this Friday here to dispute any time. So long as it's getting charged here and the payment method is still okay, there's no questions about it, you're fine to keep working if you're tracking time with the desktop app. Once that's done, then it takes another 5 days or so for that money to land in your account. Let's talk really quickly about reputation and what that means. Your activity, your experience, your reputation, basically the customer satisfaction that you're needing, results in a couple of different ways, or shows up in a couple of different ways. Clients will leave you ratings at the end of a job, public feedback, 5 stars, that sort of thing. And there's also private feedback that they're asked to leave. How likely are they to recommend you to another client? For this, how likely are they to recommend you for this type of work? And what that does is it rolls up into what's called the job success score. Both of those ratings, and things like how many projects do you have that have gone on more than 30 or 60 days? Because that's a really good sign. That means you're continuing to work with the same clients. They obviously like what you're doing. How many clients or projects do you have where it ends without any money being paid? Now, that's probably not a good sign, okay, because that means something went wrong and you didn't get paid and the project ended early. So all of that rolls into this job success score. The place to keep an eye on that is on your My Stats page. So you'll see when you log into your account, you have a My Stats page. A lot of good information shows up there just to tell you, how am I doing on the site? Where can I improve? What are clients saying about me, for lack of a better word? That's going to give you some good information to help adjust and modify your business. Some rules and tips to keep you safe. Check with us if anything doesn't feel right, is really what I'll say. And the place to do this, the best quick answer is in our community. If you visit community.upwork.com, search for your questions there. More than likely it's been asked before. If it hasn't, please feel free to ask it. Just post a question. And we have a lot of other experienced freelancers and clients who will help to answer that question, along with my team. I have a team of folks who are constantly monitoring those forums, happy to help answer your question and help you out here. Don't share private information. Never agree to get paid off of the site. Okay? Your clients are not sending you money to your PayPal address. They're not wiring money to your bank account. They're not writing you checks. You are getting paid through Upwork. You're getting paid by Upwork, okay? Because they're paying Upwork through escrow or through that work diary, and then that money then lands in your account so you can go and withdraw when you're ready. Okay, some takeaways. Create a professional and complete profile. I talk just really focus, what it is that you do best or the type of work that you're looking here to do. Super important to be focused, to be targeted in that. Customize every proposal. Every proposal should look different because every proposal is for a different job. And you're trying to win that job, you're trying to win that business, you're trying to stand up to that client. So customize it and make sure you have that type of perspective on it. Get paid confidently. If it's a fixed price job, there should be milestones and the client should be funding escrow. There's no other way to get paid on a fixed price job than through escrow, okay? And for hourly jobs, use the desktop app. I call it the team app here, but it's the same thing. Use that to track your time. Make sure that your client is, that their payment method is getting charged and sent through every week. And then keep an eye on your reputation through that My Stats page. Basically, if you're doing good work, if you're communicating regularly with your clients, checking in with them, sending them messages through the message platform, you're going to be in great shape on that. And then get involved with us at the community, community.com. Like I said, we have a team on there 24/7, and we're happy to hear from you, happy to help answer questions and hopefully give you some new information. And that's also where you'll find a recording. So if you go to community and type in interactive freelancer webinar, you'll find a recording of the same content. Not today's session, but it's the same information. Okay, so with that, feel free to start asking some questions. I'm going to pause my screen, and we'll see what we can get to here in the next 20 minutes or so. Virginia says, what is the best way to, I lost you there. You said you were Virginia. Sorry, let me go through and clear some of these other ones out.